What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to a brand new video. Whoops, I just banged my leg on my table, so that was unpleasant. But what is up? What's going on? Welcome back to another video. And we're gonna do some alternate history here. This was a suggestion from CEO, bruh. But first, I want to seriously address something with this channel. And it's been very disappointing, and I really didn't want to say this, but my channel is getting um it's not getting a ton of um recognition from the YouTube algorithm, and I'll prove why right now. So yeah, for some reason my screen recorder only wanted to record one tab, but we're just gonna take a look at this. So my channel used to but when the election was going on, like let's just go to a month ago, my my videos were consistently getting 5, 18, I was outperforming my amount of subscribers in terms of views, which is always a good sign. Um, you know, I had my occasional down video, but I was really proud of where my channel was at. I think I was doing very well. Um, but everything was, uh, you know, it was a lot better back then. But now I've kind of been tanking in views. I mean, I'm getting in between 300 and 500 views per video. This election I did okay for me. I had one good video with Arizona, 69,000 views. But since the election has ended, my last video, here we go, 1.8K, and it's just been declining. So again, guys, I really don't know why this is. It's very disappointing, and the YouTube algorithm, the way it works, is if you start tanking, it's kind of really hard uh, to recover. So I don't want to doom and gloom here. Because I really do, and I'm really proud of my channel, and I think that all of you guys have been so supportive. But just really, I I don't know what to do, and if this continues, I might have to end this channel as a result of the algorithm not suggesting it to viewers anymore. So let's move on to the video, guys. Please, and anything you can do helps. Just subscribing, like sending this to your friends, or just telling people about the channel. That would really help. But thank you for all your support. Thank you for sticking with me through this. I know a lot of you left, but to those of you who still watched, I really thank you so much. So let's get started with filling out the safe states for the Obama ticket. I'm so used to having Biden Harris. This is a 2012 alternate history, by the way. So I think I might have mentioned that. But these are gonna be all our all our safe states. I do think that New Mexico would have been safe. Um, all these states would be safe. New Hampshire would not be safe as usual. New York would be safe. Maine first district would be safe. Illinois would obviously be safe. So same map except for New Mexico would be safe. Now for Trump and Pence, Utah would be safe. Obama did very poorly there. All the Dakotas and Nebraska would be safe. Since it's 2012, I guess Mississippi would be safe, but that could change. So yes, now we're going to move on to our likely states. So Obama would win Nevada and Colorado fairly easily. He'd win Colorado by like 10 points. He'd win Nevada by 7 or 8. And I say this because of the fact that in 2008, he won Nevada by literally 15%. Now in 2012, I believe he won it by like 9%. 2012 Nevada election, hopefully. Because I'm not actually recording on this tab, which is unfortunate because I forgot to. But yeah. Obama won Nevada by 6.6 in 2012, and he won about like 15 in 2008. So I think it'll be somewhere in between, because I think that Romney would have done better. He would have done a little better than Trump with the Hispanic vote in 2012. That being said, I do think that Trump would really bring out the turnout for both him and Obama. So Nevada, there'd be higher turnout because Obama and Romney weren't really that polarizing, whereas Trump is very polarizing. So Nevada, likely Democrat, just because of higher turnout. Colorado also, I think in Colorado, it was viewed as competitive, but it ended up being not that competitive in the final results. I mean, Obama, he did end up winning by a little less than Nevada. He won by like over 5%, but still, I don't see a way for him to make it lean for talking with Trump. So Obama would win Colorado by 8%, I'd say 7 or 8%. So yeah. Now, moving over to the state of Minnesota, the whole Rust Belt would be likely. I'm sorry. No, actually, I'll leave Pennsylvania out of there. But this whole region would be likely, and I really don't like to say this because I wasn't forecasting elections in 2012, but I do know for a fact that the Rust Belt is getting a lot less solid for the Democrats than it was even 8 years ago. It's now basically a toss-up. Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, they're kind of toss-ups. But 8 years ago, these were safe or likely Democratic states. I mean, even though Paul Ryan was Mitt Romney's vice presidential candidate, he was a congressman from Wisconsin. Romney still lost the state by 7%. So I think Trump would do the same as Romney. Now, Romney actually got more votes than Trump did in 2016. But I still don't see a path for Trump in Wisconsin. Like, obviously, Trump winning Wisconsin certainly helps him, but that's outweighed by the fact that A, he wouldn't choose a Wisconsinite running mate, which Romney did, and B, he also probably would not have chosen. He also probably would not have gotten a ton more votes than Romney, and with higher turnout from these urban areas to re-elect the president, it would certainly help him. So Obama, he carried Wisconsin fairly easily. He carried Minnesota by like 8 or 9 points. He won Minnesota by like something like similar margin with Wisconsin. He won it by like 8% or something like that. Or no, he won it by 7.7%. So similar margins with Romney. Now I do think that Trump could actually outperform Romney in Minnesota. He probably outperform in Michigan too, just because Romney is very establishmentarian. Whoops, I just pulled up the wrong tab. But I still think we have to remember that this is 2012. The Rust Belt is bluer than it is now in 2012. And Obama and Biden are both Rust Belt type candidates, whereas Kamala Harris is not a Rust Belt candidate, which is why Trump was able to do better in Michigan. He lost Michigan by a lean margin. He probably lose it by a likely margin to Obama, seeing as Obama won it by nearly 10 points in 2012. I think Trump would, again, like I said, he'd outperform Romney in Michigan and Minnesota, but he still wouldn't be able to make it competitive. Now, Virginia, I don't actually, you know what? Virginia would just be barely 5 points. Virginia is kind of a more establishmentarian state, and having Trump on the ticket wouldn't help the Republicans. New Hampshire would be likely. There were a lot of reasons to believe that Mitt Romney would have won New Hampshire in 2012 because he was from Massachusetts. He had appealed to those moderates, but it went for Obama pretty easily. I mean, not pretty easily, but he won it by around 6 points. Now, Romney would, I think he'd outperform Trump in New Hampshire. Again, it's an establishmentarian state. He was from Massachusetts. So Obama, I really do think, would win New Hampshire by more like 8 or 9 points, a Biden 2020-esque margin than a, closer to lean margin. Maine at large would also be likely closer to safe. That's obvious. It's that one likely state that's really safe. Now, Alaska would also be likely, although I do want to put Texas as safe for the sake of this video, and South Carolina. We're also going to put that as safe. Actually, I'll have to see the 2012 results, but South Carolina, because I don't know the results in South Carolina in 2012. Actually, you know what? That'll be likely. I mean, Obama won it by like 10 points in 2012, and I think that with higher turnout, based on just Trump being polarizing, it would be it would be maybe 9-8% margin. So Alaska would be likely, same with South Carolina. And I say this because of the fact that just higher turnout helps the Democrats with getting minorities that to vote. South Carolina, that helped. In Alaska, that would probably help, but these states would not be competitive, to be honest. Now, Texas would be safe. It would be like a 13 to 14% margin of victory for Trump. I mean, he won it, like Obama won it, or he lost it by 16% in 2012. Clinton lost it by 9% in 2016. Biden lost it by 5.8% in 2020. So it is trending blue overall. But I think Trump would underperform Romney in Texas as a result of higher turnout based on his policies that really do scare and polarize a lot of people. But I still really don't think that Obama would make it competitive. He didn't really campaign there. He wouldn't have in 2012. Now, for the likely Republican states, other than these, I do think that Missouri and Indiana would be likely. Both these states evidently are, they're red states, and they were in 2012, but they were more lean Republican states than safe Republican states the way they are today. Now, I think that Trump would actually carry Indiana by like 12%, but because of Mike Pence being now, and I get Mike Pence is super popular in Indiana, but Trump is a Rust Belt candidate, as I said, and Obama was able to make Indiana a likely state. In 2012, I mean, he won. He lost it by like I think. Let me see how much he lost. Yeah, he lost it by around 11 points. So I think it could be safe, but Indiana just being likely for the sake of Obama being a good candidate. Again, higher turnout would help them certainly. Now, in Missouri, this state was. I really did think that Missouri was going to be likely for this election. It ended up being closer to likely than super safe, but uh, it was safe. Trump won it by like 16 points, and you know that was a good performance on his end. But Missouri's trending red. In 2012, it's a lot bluer than it is now. And I think having higher turnout, as I said, although the turnout in 2020 would be similar to this turnout. But anyways, the turnout would probably be something like, I don't know, because in 2016 the turnout in Missouri and just generally was like 66%. It probably would have been closer to 75%. So yeah, but either way though, going back to 2012 in Missouri, Obama lost it by like 9%, I think. So yeah, I don't see a pathway to Trump winning it by more than 12, especially with Obama making it closer against Romney. So yeah. Now going over to our lean states, I do have a couple of these states. I do believe that Pennsylvania would be lean. I think that mean that they're what is it called? What am I forgetting? Their second district would be lean. Ohio would be lean. Same with Iowa. So Barack Obama does win the presidency. Now that being said, there are some states that remain out. Also, Georgia would be lean or likely. I think Obama lost it by like 8 points in 2012. Yeah, that's not enough to make it lean, even with Trump on the ticket. I get that Georgia is an establishment Republican state, but still, this is going to be likely for Barack or for Donald Trump. He win it by like 6 or 7. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Now for Obama, starting with Maine second district, he'd win it by like 3 or 4. Trump did actually do very well there in 2016 because of his appeal to these white working class voters, but Obama has even more than Trump does, and for a Democrat, that's saying a lot. So, Maine second district, give it to Obama by 3 to 4. Now going over to Pennsylvania, I think that Obama would win this by like just around 5%. But I'm going to err on the edge of caution. Trump did win in 2016, to be fair. Romney was a bad candidate for the state. And people said, oh my gosh, Pennsylvania's a pure toss-up in 2012. Romney was a horrible candidate. So he wasn't able to flip it. He lost it by like, I don't know. Romney lost by like 4 or 5 points, which is lean. And Obama just had very good turnout. He had better turnout in the Philadelphia areas than Hillary Clinton did. And those areas are actually getting a little worse for the Democrats, but not really a cause for concern just yet for them. But going back to this, I do see Obama having the same turnout, maybe even better turnout from these urban areas against Trump. Now Trump would have much better. He'd get more votes in these working class areas. He'd make Scranton a lot more competitive. He'd maybe win Erie County. I don't think he would. He'd be better than Romney, though. So he'd basically do the same as Romney because he'd outperform him in basically all of the states except for Philadelphia. So, yeah. And now in Ohio, I'm kind of iffy about this, and I wanted to put it in lean because of the fact that Obama did win it by like 5 points in 2012. I think, maybe 4. But like I said, Romney was a very bad candidate for the whole Rust Belt area. He was an establishmentarian. It doesn't bode well for Rust Belt or for people in the Rust Belt. Actually, no, Obama won it by 3 in 2012. I just checked. But he'd still win it by the same margin against Trump because, again, higher turnout. Because back in 2012, I know it's not that long ago. It feels like 10 years ago, but because it actually almost is 10 years ago. But back in 2012, the Democrats had enough population in Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati, and Akron to run up the score there and be able to win the state, and then grab a few votes from the working class, which Obama was able to do. That's how he wins the state. I think he would have been able to do that to a certain extent against Trump. Now, Trump, due to higher turnout from this area, that would negate Trump's gains on Obama with the working class. So, gains on Romney, rather, with the working class. So, yeah. Now, in Iowa, I would also probably give this to Barack Obama, but it would be more like 4 points. Now, Trump actually didn't do too well in Iowa, like in terms of the vote share, and I'll just bring this up because obviously he flipped it, and that was great for him. So, and just really quickly, and Obama won Iowa by 6 points. So that's a likely margin actually, but it would be lean because Iowa's not one of those super urban states, which is why it would be lean, not likely. So Trump would actually outperform Romney, but Romney in 20, and I don't know this off the top of my head. I'm checking Wikipedia. Romney got like 730,000 votes in Iowa in 2012. Trump got only 800,000, and obviously the turnout was down, of course. But the reason that he got more votes was because he was able to flip a lot of these working class voters just in big numbers against Hillary Clinton. Now he got more votes in 2020 just because of higher turnout. He got 897,000. Biden got 758,000. But it's still, it's still important that we realize that Trump would improve on Romney, just not enough to be able to flip the state or even make it tilt. So he'd lose it by 3 to 4. Now, these last few states, I think, or just to fill this map out, I want to go play Among Us. Arizona would be lean; it'd be like 4 or 5% margin of victory for Trump. Now, I know that obviously Arizona did end up going. Whoa, hopefully that wasn't shown. Now, Arizona did go to Romney by like 10 points, or maybe 9 points. Yeah, he won by just around 9%. So, of course, this is a pretty solid margin for Arizona. In any case, I mean, he won Maricopa by like 7. Let's see, because I was just pulling that out of my beyond. Yeah, okay, he won Maricopa by actually 10%. So, obviously, Biden won it this year, but I think that Trump would underperform Romney by around 4 to 5 points because of the fact that Arizona loves establishmentarians, and obviously John McCain is a big influence there. He won big there in 2008. He won big in the Senate races. So, I just think that's why Trump would have done worse there in Arizona relative to Romney, who was an establishmentarian. And I see this a lot. States like Georgia and Arizona, for example, like establishment Republicans, but in states like Iowa or Missouri or Ohio or Michigan or Pennsylvania, they don't. So there are pros and cons to that. Now, Florida, I do think would also go to Trump just because he'd improve with the Latinos in this region, of course, because he likes to use the word socialist a lot more than Mitt Romney did. And just, I think the polls would have shown better news for him than they did for Romney. Now, Florida was considered to actually be leaning towards Romney, if I'm not mistaken. On election day, Obama surprised some people, and he won Florida. But still, I really do think that Florida would have gone to Trump just based on a gut feeling and the fact that higher turnout in Florida, this is one of the few states where higher turnout actually doesn't necessarily help Democrats. Doesn't necessarily, though. So Trump would have won here. Now, the biggest toss-up is North Carolina. We're going to give it to Obama because of the fact that he would have had higher turnout. And like I said, and I talk about this a lot, in Florida, higher turnout does not always help the Democrats because the Latinos tend to actually vote Republican there. It's complicated. But in North Carolina, though, that helps the Democrats 100% because it means you get higher urban turnout, which means higher black turnout, which means more Democratic votes, or at least Democrats get a favorable amount of votes compared to the Republicans. So, and then Nebraska's first district, I just go off a gut feeling. I think, even though actually, I'll give it to Trump. To be fair, because of the fact that Romney was able to win it. So, if Romney could win a district like this, so could Trump, but it would be very close. So, Obama wins the election by basically the same map, except he loses Florida. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you have not already. Again, I know I stressed at the beginning of the video. Your support means so much to me. I don't think I've been thanking you enough for that. But to all of you, thank you so much. Have a great day. Goodbye.